Hello everyone, my name is Nancy Lardy, and today I will be speaking about my research paper titled The Digitization of Libraries, Creating a Modern Alexandria, From Degree to Implementation. Let's get started. During this presentation, I will give a brief summary about the Library of Alexandria. Then I will talk about the diverse skill sets that come with a Master's of Library and Information Sciences degree. We will then briefly hit on digital workflows and the technologies that libraries are using. Then we'll talk about some of the issues that come with digitization and some proposed solutions. Lastly, we'll reach our conclusion, and after that, my references page will be available to you. The wonderful, famed Library of Alexandria was founded in 331 BC by Ptolemy Soter, who was the king of Egypt at the time. It was technically part of the Ptolemaic Museum, which was established to glorify the Muses, and the treasure of the museum was the library. There were technically two separate libraries, one on the outside of the museum and one within the palace. All in all, the library had about 700,000 books within its collection. And one way they amassed this collection was by creating an edict that essentially stated every single ship that came to port would be searched for books. When found, the books would be duplicated and the copy would be given to the owners while the library kept the originals. This was also their favorite chosen method for acquiring books from other museums and libraries, which cost them a lot, but it was totally worth it. They had books from all over the world. They didn't stop with works from Greeks and Hebrews. They had books from India, Persia, Babylonia, Georgia, and Armenia. And given the time, I'm certain they would have reached every corner of the globe. Now for the tragedy. In 48 BC, Julius Caesar was intervening in Egyptian political matters, which led him to setting fire to the ships on the docks. Unfortunately, the fire did not remain docked and spread throughout the city of Alexandria, engulfing the library in flames. This led to the loss of knowledge from the true first universal library. Someone should definitely stab Caesar. The digitization of libraries could help create the modern version of Alexandria, and this one will be fire-resistant. In order to help with the digitization effort, you'll most likely need an MLIS, which is a Master's of Library and Information Sciences degree. Many people either don't know of the degree or believe they'll be stuck in a library for the rest of their lives if they choose it. But, turns out, corporate businesses and marketing organizations need archivists and digital librarians. All of the skills learned during an MLIS degree seamlessly transition to corporate America. The best place to get this degree is at the University of Illinois, and you can see on the table that the major concentrations on the left equal very diverse and business-centric job titles, so don't set a limit to your MLIS. It is also worth mentioning that the only ALA-accredited university in Georgia is Valdosta State University. The accreditation verifies that the academic program meets all the standards. There is no standardized process for creating a digital library. It all really depends on the material, the library, and the staff. However, there are usually three functions that integrate into digital library management, which are acquisition, cataloging, and circulation. If you look at the bottom, you'll see an example of a digitization process, starting with first acquisition of the document, then scanning, indexing, and storing, which are all methods of cataloging, and lastly, access to the public for circulation. It is also important to note that libraries are using new technologies, and as more innovations are created, libraries will be keeping up. Currently, libraries are using new big data, Internet of Things, library mobile apps, and 3D printing. And in the future, they are expected to utilize virtual and augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and digital interface for printed books. So the main issue facing the digitization of libraries is copyright, specifically Section 108, although 106 and 107 are also prevalent in this debate. While Section 106 goes over the exclusive rights in copyrighted works, Section 107 goes over the limitations of those rights for fair use, and Section 108 is specifically about the reproduction of those works by libraries and archives. And right now, there are indeed limitations. It's possible to create a digital library, but there are some hoops to jump through. which doesn't help when libraries are the one institution with the obligation to preserve works. So possible solutions to this would be to reform Section 108, make it easier for libraries to do what they're supposed to do while still entirely complying with the law. Trusted institutions should be established, but there should also be a centralized organization for digitized works. From the Columbia Journal of Law and the Arts is this quote: "There is no need for every library to handle mass digitization on its own, and I view this as an octopus with one brain." Essentially, libraries across the world can partake in digitization. Some may be able to do more than others, just like how some arms of an octopus are shorter than others, but in the end, it should all be accessible in the brain of the octopus with centralization, which will become our new Alexandria. In conclusion, the Library of Alexandria was an extraordinary feat which should be aimed to be duplicated digitally. An MLIS degree is very versatile and is often necessary to partake in digitization. There is no one way to digitize a library, but workflows always involve the steps of acquisition, cataloging, and circulation. Libraries are keeping up to date with the newest technological innovations, and the main issue concerning the digitization of libraries is Copyright Section 108, which should be reformed. A University of Oxford video has one quote that brings out the importance of digitization. "One time, people would have been debating the pros and cons of using clay tablets over papyrus. There were probably conferences where the old school were saying, 'Well, if there's a fire, you can't burn tablets.' And the papyrus people were saying, 'You can carry a library on a camel.' We still have similar debates now. We are always trying to achieve perfection, but we're constantly looking for it as well." And with that, I will end my presentation. Here's my references page. Thank you very much for listening.